Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Deadlock's Counter Project. Let's see who gets drawn on the wheel today. Haze, Kelvin, and Graves. Alright, first things first. Let's start with Haze and her abilities so we know what we're dealing with. Of course, you have your Sleep Dagger, which puts them to sleep. Very annoying. Then you have Stealth, which makes you invisible and kind of hard to follow. You have her third ability, which is increases gun damage if she hits you. Then you have her fourth, which is a lot of damage and she can't miss in an area around her. Alright, let's get to theorizing. Some very important things before we start. Haze increases her ammo by 0.5 with her spirit growth. Let's talk about positioning first, which matters a lot against a hero like Haze, who fires sustained damage. Running at her head-on is not a great idea, even if you are up in souls, because more often than not, they'll just be able to shoot you a lot more and do even more damage than you do to them. The 3 makes it so that the longer they shoot you, the more damage they do. So it's best to hide around corners and do burst damage. You don't want to stick that fight unless you know for certain you can win that engagement. Because, trust me, she definitely can't come back from that, especially if she's doing that much damage. Instead, if you're high on stacks of her ability, just hide back for a minute, let them wear off, and then you can push up to deal more damage against her. Some other items that are yellow tier to help against a Haze. First off, Alchemist Fire. It's going to do more damage to her and remove her bullet resist. Additionally, it removes her stealth, so you can hit her a little more easier. If you're really struggling to find and keep track of Haze after they try to run, throw a capacitor on it first. Removes their stamina and sounds all their movement-based abilities and items. Helps quite a bit. Of course, you have your long range, although Haze does have 20 meters before she has follow-up damage on them. Just outranging in general tends to help a lot, especially against a close range hero like Haze. Melee charge also helps a lot, because she cannot parry at all during her ult, meaning you can get that 3 melee damage in when she's trying to ult you. And last but not least, Hunter's Aura. It reduces their fire rate and bullet resist when you're just nearby, which helps a lot, especially against a gun hero, because Haze only has a gun to do damage. Alright, time for your salad, your green items on the list to counter a Haze. First off, you have Debuff Reducer to get rid of her stacks even faster when she's not hitting you. Helps a lot, so you're not constantly taking more damage. In that same vein, you could also get Dispel Magic, which works great. However, it is a little more pricey of an item, and it's not always necessary. Of course, you have Heal Bane, which works wonders against Haze, because most of them are going to want Fury Trance or some sort of Bullet Lifesteal. And removing that Bullet Lifesteal makes them a lot more susceptible to damage and dying. You have Bolt Resilience. Pretty obvious what that does. And it should be an item you guys buy regardless of if you're fighting a Haze and struggling or not. You have Warp Stone, which works wonders both to engage and disengage, giving you 30% bullet resist. Either way, letting you resist some bullet and get in some quick chip damage, or get out. If you're struggling with sleep, technically you could get a Dominable, but that feels a little excessive, since most Haze's sleep does not last that long, and Debuff Resist and Debuff Reducer will also get rid of that pretty easily. And of course, you have Phantom Strike, which works wonders against the Haze, reducing their movement significantly by 50%, I think, disarming them and doing spirit damage. meaning they're kind of right for the picking and you manage to get that off. It works especially well on a retreating Haze. Onto your blueberries on the list. First off, we have Suppressor, which reduces their bullet damage. Sorry, not bullet damage. Their fire rate. Whenever you do spirit damage to them. In that same vein, Bolt Resist Shredder and Mystic Vulnerability also do something very similar, in the sense that they reduce both of their resistances that they will commonly have, respectively, of course. You have your obligatory disarm against a gun character. If they can't shoot you, it makes it a lot easier to kill them. You have knockdown to get them out of their ults, which is quite common for them to ult. And then, of course, you have Decay, which is useful if you're ever going to start a fight against them, since they can't heal and take constant damage because of it. When encountering a Kelvin, something that is incredibly important. Again, similar to Haze, is positioning. For his freeze, and a lot of his abilities require him to have direct line of sight. If he doesn't have that, he can't damage you directly. Again, he is not a burst damage hero, although his grenades hurt a lot, as do his dome, which makes it incredibly hard for you to get around him and position yourself to somewhere safe. If you can just get behind a wall or have a wall in any engagement with him, it lowers his damage drastically. And improves your survivability. Alright, now on to your yellow items. First off, you have opening rounds. Why use opening rounds, you might ask? Because he has a lot of healing. He's got to be above 50% health most of the time. Slowing bullets help a lot, especially stopping his third ability from running away as much. Long range, so you can engage him when he's up and away from you, do his ice path or whatnot. Capacitor is your friend here. Very much so, because it prevents his 3 entirely, so he cannot run away. Now, please note that it will not interrupt his 3. His 3 is a channel. So instead, you need to use it before he starts running away, or when he's starting to get low on health, so he can't just burst and run across the map. Although, I'm not good enough to use this item. Crippling Headshot works wonders against him, because it reduces his healing resist and spirit and bullet. However, I can't aim to save my life, so use with caution. Alright, back to your side items. You have Debuff Resist to remove his slow when he's not able to hit you. Helps a lot. You have Enduring Speed. Why does that matter? Because his slow resist hurts a lot. I suggest Enduring Speed just because you're probably in a stage of the game where you don't have a lot of money, though Juggernaut is the upgrade and works a lot better. Majestic Leap. Now, why do I recommend that? Because his slow leaves you out in the open, and that pretty much makes you prone to his entire team jumping you if you're not prepared. So, sometimes stuff will have an escape option, so you don't get clobbered. Untested, but I do believe Phantom Strike will knock him from his ice path. Fortunately, I don't have any friends to test that with, but use it with a grain of salt. It may work, it may not. Unfortunately, the only purple items that are counters to Kelvin are all active, of course being Knockdown, to get him off of his ice tower, Vortex Grenade, so you can get him closer, and Decay, so he can't heal. That's pretty much it, unfortunately. On to the final of today. We have Graves. So their first ability summons the Jar of Dead. Little skulls. You guys hate them. I hate them. You have the Wall of Immobilization, which I'm sure you guys have seen, which just stuns them in place so they can't move. And spawns a little zombie. Or attack that saps gun damage and spirit resist. Yeah. And Borrowed Decree, which summons a bunch of skeletons that do cool things, like hitting you for all your health. Alright, now on to the counters. On to the cheese, your yellow items. First off, you have Alchemist Fire, personal favorite. works great because it hits her minions, so they can't really do damage to you. Slowing bullets, also great, stops her minions from getting close to you. Any sort of increase in ammo is amazing. Split shot also works great because she has a lot of things you get to hit at once, so being able to hit all of them at once is great. In that same vein, Ricochet is amazing because, well, you hit all the skulls at once with one single shot. And interestingly enough, Cult of Sacrifice also works pretty decently against Graves, since you can use that to kill her little her NPCs or whatnot, her little zombies. Alright, on to our greens to counter Graves. First off, you have Demon Producer. As always, works really great, removes her gun and spirit steel they have on her. You have Warpstone. Get over her little trap thing she sets down. Little line of defense. In that same vein, Phantom Strike. Skip over it and get to her. If your team gets stuck, Rescue Beam works great to pull them out. And Indomitable also works pretty alright against Graves. Again, pretty expensive. Don't know if you should buy it just for Graves, but personal preference. And finally onto the spirit counters for her. Silence Wave always is very useful. Spirit Snatch, also useful. Steals this Spirit Resist Steel and Spirit Power. That would be a situation also Cypher can use it. Torment Pulse can be good to getting that cheap damage when she's nearby and you're trying to get the skulls off you. Focus Lens is amazing because she can't do anything. She's silenced, you do extra damage, and wears off, she pretty much is going to die. Works great because it removes a lot of her spirit power, meaning that every single thing about her does less damage. Which is a thing you should definitely look forward to.